aluminium shells, a DAC inside the box, flagship audio, all for $159? Who let Dita cook? Welcome back, audiophiles. It's me, your boy Joe, back again with another video, and this time we're going to be looking at the Dita Prelude. Now, the Dita Prelude is, of course, from the Dita Audio brand, which is known for making really good IEMs with insane build quality, such as the Dita Mecha. Do check out my review that I've done with the Dita Mecha if you haven't already. It's linked in one of the cards up there. And this is a continuation of that, but in a more affordable price point at just $159. So a quick disclaimer with the Dita Prelude. I've got the Dita Prelude from the Audio Geek group. Huge shout out to Audio Geek and of course to Sandeep for sponsoring this particular unit. But as always, all thoughts and opinions are my own. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Do hit that subscribe button, smash that like as well, and bonk the bell. With all that said, let's get to the unboxing. Okay, so let's start with the unboxing of the Dita Prelude. You could see that it's written Prelude in huge block letters, along with the gruppetto, that special symbol, as well as the branding. We even have the gruppetto on the sides, nothing much. And in the back, we have the specifications. We have the impedance written at 32 ohms, sensitivity of 108 dB, as well as the rest of the materials. And it's also given the specifications of the DAC, which is at max 384 kilohertz and 32-bit, which is not bad. So let's open it up. It has a weird funky packaging. It has kind of like, I don't know, recycled cardboard or something. Feels pretty nice. So opening it up, we could see that we have a slip, which is to talk about the Dita Prelude. And it's almost like a manual. We could use everything that we need. And the first thing you would see is the Dita Prelude over there, as well as the DAC and the carry case. So let's pull out the DAC. This is the anti-DAC. It's amazing that Dita is actually providing a DAC freely along with the Prelude. So that's a really good sign. Here's a close-up of the Dita Prelude. You can see that nice musical notes and red in color with anodized finishing. Let's take the carry case. And finally, we have the ear tips. So this is Dita Select ear tips, which will have both the latex version as well as the silicone version. Here's the cable with translucent pins as well as the termination point. So the pins themselves do have the L and R written in it. So let's plug them in. And that's pretty much it. So as you can see with the unboxing, nothing much out of the ordinary. The first thing I would like to talk about is this case. This case is really good. It has this weird funky hook, so you could even attach it to something like your bag or so. And the place inside is really spacious. Your IEMs fit in really well. So the case is a plus. Now moving on to the IEMs, as you can see, the IEM has this gorgeous red look finish to it, and it's made out of 3 parts of aluminum sandwiched together. I say the finishing is really beautiful. It even has this kind of musical symbol, which is actually called a gruppetto, that is used in musical notes such as Beethoven and Chopin. So that's another nice detail finishing to it, which is pretty beautiful to look at as well as to hear. The shells themselves feel pretty light and pretty comfy to wear as well. The contours are pretty good. No points of sharp impacts or any hotspots or anything. But wait, there is a catch with this cable. From the shell, we have the cable. Now, this cable is a 2-pin cable that will come flat from the IEM, and as such, in terms of the cable, I do feel that the cable quality is a little on the low side. We could see that the cable has this kind of translucent look to it and an okay ear hook. pretty thin in terms of material, which then goes to a generic red color Y split, which has a kind of gnarled texture. That's pretty nice. And then finally off to another translucent 3.5. If you notice, we don't have a chin slider in this cable, which is something I kinda don't like about it. So I just use the Velcro tag that comes along with the wire as a makeshift Y split. Pro tip, if you just tie it up nice and tight, you have yourself a nice comfortable makeshift Y split that does stay in place. Here's my Y split for the cable. On the whole, I'm kind of down that there isn't a Y split. The cable also feels a little on the thin side. It also has a lot of memory to it. Not that good on the cable side, but hey, we could always just switch another cable if needed. And along with the IEMs, the other star of the show is this. This is the anti-DAC, a DAC that comes along with the Prelude IEM. It is pretty amazing that Dita does give a DAC along with it, so you don't have to go looking for some other point of sources or anything like that. You could just use this particular DAC, plug it into your phone or to your laptop, whichever it is, and it works pretty much fine, powers up the device really well. I do have some qualms with the DAC. Do stay tuned for that. You would see what is the issues that's with these DAC. And along with that, Dita also has two sets of ear tips. The first one is this latex ovalish ear tips, which is really nice. It really blends in with the contours of your ear, gives a perfect seal, and it's very nice and comfortable to wear. And we have the standard silicone ear tips, which is also okay-ish, I would say. In terms of these circular latex ear tips, I would say that the comfort and everything is really good. What I find a little bit distracting is that these ear tips, once you put them in and take off the IEM, sometimes the ear tips stay stuck inside and I have to use my fingers to take it out. The IEMs is in such a shape that it's not going to be dangerously inside that you have to take tweezers to pull it out, but I found it more to the fact that it's just getting stuck and then I'm always having to use my fingers to take it out, which I find pretty cumbersome, but it's also not holding onto the IEM as strongly as you would expect, even though it's a latex ear tip. As for me, for my particular IEMs, I used the SpinFit Neo, which was a perfect synergy with these Dita Prelude. The fit was also perfect. I got a seal, and this ear tip doesn't fall out once you pull out the earphones, which is a very good plus point, if that is something I have to say. So in terms of specs, the Dita Prelude is having a 10mm dynamic driver, which the Dita guys call the Truth Driver. It's said to be having some innovations that has a crispy attack with a very good smooth decay. We'll get into more of that on the sound impressions. And other spec-wise, we have an impedance of 32 ohms and a sensitivity of 108 dB. I find that the Dita can be pretty much powered on by your laptop, as well as, of course, the Dita anti-DAC that powers it up perfectly fine. And I don't see any durability related issues when I'm plugged into any other of my other sources. So I find that this Dita can be powered up pretty much easily. So now it's time for the fit test. Let's put these in. Comfort wise, it's really good. I'm able to wear it for long periods of time. That is provided with the SpinFit Neo. Even I have tried it with the Dita Select, which is their latex ear tips, and that's also really comfortable for me. Like I said, if I do take it out, the ear tips get stuck inside, but comfort wise, I don't have any issues. So this is the right side, and this is the left side. So as you can see, it's really stylish. It does have that Gruppetto logo, so it looks really nice when you look at it from both sides. And given that particular anodized red color look, style points wise, pretty good in that front. My makeshift chin slider also working pretty well. So how does a $159 IEM sound like a flagship? Let's find out in the sound impressions. So moving on, first things first, let's look at the frequency response graph of the Dita Prelude, as you can see in here. So we can see that it first starts with a decent amount of sub-range, which then trickles down to a clean mid-range, and then goes up to a nice sparkly treble and air overall. This is by all means a V-shaped graph tuning, and in this I would say that it's a V-shaped graph but more towards the brighter side. So it has a little bit of brightness and sparkle to it. The treble is smooth, clear, and has a lot of micro details to it. It has a minimal amount of harshness. Now, I say minimal because the Dita Prelude is pretty much dependent on the kind of sources that you're using. For example, the anti-DAC that you use along with it, if I do use the DAC that is given along with it, I see that the sound starts to get a little bit on the dry side and starts to get a little bit more on the treble side. It gets to the point where it starts to feel a little harsh. I mean, on the bright side, see what I did? It does have more details and it's pretty much clear overall when you use the anti-DAC, but you don't get that kind of lush mid-range, or you don't get that bass response that you might expect. So in that sense, I would say the anti-DAC is enough to drive it more in the analytical side, but not to the lush or warm side. Hence, I've used the K11. When I use the K11, I feel that the treble is a bit more smoothened and I'm able to listen to it. So do check out your sources. If you have very analytical sources, so such as the iBasso, I would believe, then you would start to feel more on the treble response and more crispiness. I would say close to harshness. But then if you use warm DACs, like I have the Hibi R6 Pro 2, that one, the treble response is pretty good, not so much in terms of harshness, and overall a warmer sound as well. In terms of mid, I would say that the Dita Prelude is awesome. The mids are very clean. There's no bass bleed in the mid region at all. The vocals are front and center, very clear, very forward, very good presence overall. In terms of bass, I would say that the Dita has a controlled bass, a controlled but good quality bass. The attack is actually really good, the attack and the slam, but in the rumble department, it's certainly not a bass head's rumble department by any means. It has a good set of rumble, I would say, well controlled. It's somewhat present, but very good quality altogether. Especially the bass slam, which is very good, very impactful. Soundstage wise, I would say that the Dita has a really good soundstage. It's pretty wide and you can make out all the individual instruments, the layering, everything is done really well. And in terms of the width, I feel a really good sense of width with the Dita Prelude. So enough said about all the sounds. Let's hit some songs with this and get back to you.
A few moments later.
So the first song that we're going to look at is Calling for Rain by Hiro Nakano, Neo Liu, and Koyo Sone. Now this is once again one of my all-time favorite songs, which is once again part of the Final Fantasy soundtrack, and it has a lot of instruments going on. It's a really good mix over and all. Now I feel like the Dita Prelude did pretty well in this. It managed to do the separation really well. Since there's so many instruments that's being played in here, I'm able to pick out the individual instruments and their locations. The vocals is front and center, which is really good, very crisp, very clear. And there is a country-like guitar that gets played in the background, and that country guitar is plucking, the kind of attack, the decay. It's so beautifully done in the Dita Prelude. That is something I really enjoy. In terms of bass, I would feel like the bass presence is there. It's not to the level which I would really like it to be, but it is there. It was really good in terms of quality. It has that really clear impact to it. So over and all, I say that the presentation was really good and the Dita Prelude did it pretty well. So the next one that we're going to see is Calm Down by Rima and Selena Gomez. Now in this track, there is a hi-hat that'll be playing all throughout, which is pretty much of a high-pitched hi-hat. With the Dita Prelude, I feel that the hi-hats are a little bit on the sharp side. If I were to increase the volume a bit more, then the hi-hat starts to be perceived as really sharp and a bit to the point of fatiguing. Hence, I have to listen to this particular song in a moderate volume. It's good enough. The bass response is really good in this case. The sub bass is something that is really good in this particular song, and that has been rendered really well with the Dita. I feel that the sub bass is all encompassing and it feels nice. It feels really good to listen to. The vocals are pretty good. Rima's vocal is nice and clear, and Selena's vocal is a bit more forward but also crystal clear and crisp. Overall, I would say that the presentation was really good, provided that the hi-hats is the point where I do feel a little bit on the sharp side. But for those who do like that particular bite to it and that little spicy treble, then I would say that this is really good to go for. So the last one that we're going to look at is Cantinero by Chino y Nacho. And this one is a really good club anthem, which has a lot of beats, a lot of bass, as well as a lot of hi-hats. I feel like the hi-hats in this particular song, once again, feels a little bit on the sharp side for me. I'm actually made to reduce the volume when I'm listening to this song as compared to the other songs, because that hi-hat is perceived as a bit sharp for me. But overall, the bass response was really good. The separation was excellent. I feel that the vocals, once again, forward and center, a lot of the details is present in the song. This is something I'm really liking, where I could feel each and individual texture of all the different instruments that's present in there. Overall, nice presentation, but like I said, it's feeling a little bit on the sharp side for me, so I had to reduce the volume in order to enjoy it better. So, what are my overall impressions for the Dita Prelude, and should you buy the Dita Prelude? Here's the truth. I would say that the Dita Prelude is really good for those who really like the kind of treble responses that I was explaining about, those who want that sharper sound, those who want more of the micro details, those who want a little bit of bite to their particular sound signature, and it's really good in terms of micro detail retrieval. That's excellent in the Dita, flagship level micro details, and overall build quality in this particular price point. That's also another good plus point on the Dita Prelude. If you want a vocal focused approach, once again due to the slighter brighter tone signature, then certainly I would believe that those particular people would really love the Dita Prelude. The people who would not like the Dita Prelude would be people who are bass oriented, people who are finding themselves to be treble sensitive, and people who prefer more on the warmer side of tuning, and people who wants more on the bass response as compared to the treble responses. As for me, over and all, I look at the whole package, and build quality wise, it's amazing. As you can see, it's a really beautiful shell. Cable wise, I do have some of my cribs on it. As you can see, it doesn't have the chin slider. Cable quality is also okay-ish, I would say. The given DAC is good. I would not say it's an incredibly awesome DAC, but it's a really good DAC nonetheless. It's better than you directly plugging in to your laptop. I would say that. When I do plug it in directly to the laptop, I don't feel the kind of bass response and the sound staging as compared to using the DAC. So in that case, the DAC is awesome. But as for me, being a bass head, when I'm using this, I do find it to be sharp at times, and I'm not able to increase the volume to a level because I find myself to be sensitive to that particular treble. So I'm not able to, rock my head towards any of the rhythms that's in here. But in terms of detail retrieval, it's amazing. That's something that I will have to give for the Dita Prelude. It's just something that's not in my particular sound preference range. So considering all of that, but then mainly considering the cable, I would give the Dita a 4 out of 5 stars for my particular rating. That is pretty much it for my rating on the Dita Prelude. Do let me know your thoughts and comments. Do you have the Dita Prelude? How do you like it? What is the kind of songs that you prefer with those Dita Prelude? Do let me know down at the comments below. And while you're down there, do let me know, are you team warm or team bright? What is the kind of sound signatures that you like? I would really like to know my particular audience. And as usual, if you do like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like my videos, give me a thumbs down. I don't know. Until then, this is Joe, and I will see you in the next review. Peace.